So I'm giving a look at Mare Nostrum Empires from Academy Games. It's a pretty approachable game. It's not that complicated at all. You've got a full color rule book, well illustrated, lots of examples. It's pretty easy to grok. It's an easy game, I think, to learn how to play. It's 11 pages long, a little bit of an index, some definitions, and explanations of some of the tiles. If there's one thing I wish the game had done a better job of, is explaining the function on some of the tiles. It's very symbol intensive and the symbols are very small comparative to the size of the tile. Having said that, everybody gets a play aid and the explanation in full for every tiles on every play aid. So it's not that hard to figure out. So how the game works is pretty straightforward. Everybody collects resources on the map at the same time. Whoever controls the trade track, whoever is the leader in the trade track, determines the order in which trades take place, and there's a very clever mechanic for that. Then resources and money is spent to build new trade networks, cities, temples, and military units, control of territories. All of that can be purchased during the build phase. This is done player by player in the order determined by the controller of the culture track. And so being the leader up here gives the player a measure of control that should be used very wisely in order to best position themselves for victory. And advantages, I should say. Whoever controls the military track determines who does the movement in battle. And since there's comparatively few military pieces, all of this happens pretty quickly. And so there's not a huge amount of downtime like you can see in some other Civ-based games. The last thing that happens in a term is the ownership of the tops of these tracks can be adjudicated. So you can end up with a new leader based on the things that have changed during the course of the game. So collecting resources is the first thing you do, and it's pretty straightforward. What you do is you collect one coin for every one of your orange city buildings, whether it's a capital, a legendary city like Jerusalem, or Troy, or Syracuse. So whether it's a capital, a regular city, or legendary city, you collect one coin. So the Egyptians are going to collect 1, 2, 3, 4 coins for sure. Now, if there is a temple there, each city collects an additional coin. So they're going to get 2, 4, 5, 6 for Jerusalem. Now, Jerusalem's a legendary city, so in addition to collecting a coin, you also get to collect one random resource from a draw bag. And because there's a temple there, you get to choose. Do you want to draw a second random resource or a second coin? So with Egypt, I chose to take that second coin. So they got a stack of coins here. They got 9 coins, which is going to be enough to gain their next wonder or legendary character. That gets them pretty close to victory. For the resources themselves, they collect 1 gold, wheat, and they're going to collect 2 papyrus or paper tokens, 1 slaves, and that's going to be it. And so we go ahead and we place them out here, and you can see that's what they've collected. And the random one they drew was not too helpful to them. It was another paper resource, but they'll probably be able to trade these for other goods. Looking across the board, you can see that I've collected the resources for Carthage, and they've got a lot of resources, but considerably less coins. They collected 1 diamonds, 1 oil. They collected over here another oil, 1 sheep. Now, because there is a marketplace here, each caravan collects 2 of each resource. So 2 more sheep, 2 more spices, 1 gold, and 1 slaves. And so they collect all of those goods, and the fact that they have a lot of different resources gives them a tremendous amount of purchase power. Remember, to win the game in one shot, you got to have 1 of each resource or 12 coins. To collect all that in one turn is a difficult thing to accomplish, because all of these that you're going to spend these to build things during the build phase. Whatever you don't spend, you can't keep till the next turn. You spend it or you lose it. The exception is you can keep 2 coins in your bank to carry over to the next turn. If you control the Hanging Gardens, you may keep 2 different of your resources. So 2 different resources can be kept by the Greeks over for another turn if they choose to do so, in addition to holding on to 2 of their coins. So it's spend it or lose it time. Once everybody's collected their resources, then you trade them. Whoever controls the trade track, in this case Rome, gets to use one of 3 markers, and most of the markers have 2 sides indicating how many resources must be traded. So the Romans only have 1 token left because they've used the other 2 on previous turns. So they're going to spend a 3rd token. Next turn, if they continue to control this track, they'll have access to all 3 tokens again and can dictate how many resources must be traded. They're going to choose to dictate that 2 resources must be traded by everybody. So everyone's going to secretly take 2 of their resources and they're going to put it on their display face down so that no one can see. I'm just going to expedite the process by putting them face up so you can see what we're talking about here. Usually don't like to put resources up on the display, like money resources, because that's a good way to give a victory, I think, to another player. So I'm really careful about putting money up there. And there's different strategies that players might use to determine which resources they throw up there. I'm just going to put duplicates for each player up there. Once everyone has allocated their resources, they're revealed simultaneously, and then whoever controls the trade track trades first. And what they do is they look over what everybody else has openly exposed to them as being tradable, and they'll pick something. So they're going to pick paper. They have no paper, so they're going to pick that. They put it on their display face down, and once they've done that, their turn is done. Whoever they took the resource from, they get to choose from someone else. And on it goes. If they chose to then trade from Rome and take steel or iron from them, Rome cannot go back and trade with Egypt again. They got to pick someone else. You can only go back and forth one time between 2 players. At the end of all of this, everyone will have 2 resources. And so with certain number of players, you can end up with one player that's got 3 and somebody else has only 1. In those cases, then the player that has 3 has to give up 1 from either what they've traded or from their bank to the player that had the insufficient number at the end of the trading procedure. So I think it's a really clever interactive trade mechanic. Once that's done, then you spend your resources to build wonders and characters, to build more trade networks, markets, temples, buildings, military units, and so forth. And the order in which you do that's important. You might want to see what somebody else builds before you choose to build. So controlling that center track is a big deal for that purpose. And then once that's done, everybody moves and fights 1 turn at a time in the order determined by whoever controls this track. And again, that's a big deal because maybe you want to make somebody go first, so they might have to play cautious because a dangerous neighbor hasn't gone yet and they need to defend against that. And so maybe they won't be able to attack you because they're not quite sure what the other guy's going to do. All in all, the whole game comes together in a really cool, fun experience. I've gotten to play this with some friends from church. It's a lot of fun. Definitely recommend this one.